Hi, I'm Trish and you're watching The Ride with Trish, the place to be to build your confidence and make your dreams happen. So I would like to ask you, have you ever felt like you've fallen out of love and you wondered how is it possible to reignite the magic in your relationship? If yes, then today's show is for you. I have a question here from Celeste and she asks, Hi Trish, hope all is going well for you. Yes, I'm good, thank you. I've been married for about 7 years now, and I feel like my marriage is slowly dying. My husband and I have a 3-year-old son who we love to bits. Somehow, I feel like I'm unable to connect with or look at my husband the same way that I used to. Have I fallen out of love with him? Is it even possible to reignite the spark in our relationship? If yes, how? Thank you for your help, Trish. Sending you lots of love, Celeste. So, the answer to your question, is it possible to reignite the spark in your relationship? Yes, it is possible. However, before I dive into the tips on how to do that, I just want to explain a little bit about the science behind how our brains work in relation to love and relationships. And why is this important? Because, example for myself, in the past I had 2 long-term relationships. Each was about for 3 years, and I used to think that, oh, is 3 years my jinxed number, so every time when it comes to 3 years my relationship is going to fail. That's how I used to think, until I found out how our brains really work, all the chemicals that goes on in relationships when we are so-called in love. Once I understood that, it made a lot of sense of how I can better manage a relationship. So that is why I'm explaining it to you now. Now, I want you to take a moment to just think back into the first time when you just fell in love with your partner. And in this moment, you feel like, oh, he's so perfect. The world is perfect. It's filled with roses and flowers and butterflies and stardust. And you think, look at him and you think, that he's just the one. Now, neuroscientists have done research and they found out that during this stage of being crazy in love, there are parts of our brains which are activated, such as testosterone, oxytocin, and dopamine. These are the same reward systems which are activated similarly to if a person were to take cocaine. Now, I've never tried cocaine before, but I know what's the feeling of being so crazy in love. What do you get? You get a high. So similar to if you were to take cocaine. During this stage, the brain goes quiet. This is the science behind love is blind. In essence, we see our partner through rose-colored glasses. We don't see their flaws. Perhaps this is just the way nature works to help us bond closer with our partner. Now here's the thing. The brain can't sustain this intensity forever. So eventually this feeling of crazy in love slowly fades away. As the jazzed up chemicals settle down, our drug high gives way to a calmer brain state. Now, in this point of time, romantic love then turns into a tamer version called companion love. In this stage, what happens is you then see your partner more for all that they are, flaws and all. Maybe you might then start to pick up on certain habits that you don't really like, or certain preferences that turns you off. You basically look at them with clearer eyes. This process happens normally anywhere between 1 to 3 years, which makes a lot of sense, like what I said earlier about my past relationships. After around 3 years, I kind of thought I'd fallen out of love with them. As the spark fades away, this is when many relationships start to suffer. People actually feel disappointed because they wonder, where is their high? Where is that high that they once felt when they were so intensely in love? This is when some people start to go into having affairs, start cheating on their partners, and maybe even want to remarry because they're seeking for that high again. But the problem is, even if they go into a new relationship, eventually the same cycle will happen, and that new feeling of so crazy in love will fade again. So it comes back to the same question: how do I sustain a healthy relationship for the long haul? Here are my 7 tips to help you build a long-term, happy, healthy, magical relationship. Tip number 1: be the person that you want to love. Don't let complacency seep into a relationship. It kills relationships faster than the blink of an eye. Try as best as you can. Don't start just wearing sweatpants or whatever clothes that you can just pick up from your closet when you go out for a nice dinner with your partner, or just let yourself go and overeat just because you think, hey, I got married, so why do I need to take care of myself? Consistently put in effort to make yourself feel sexy, attractive, and make your partner feel wanted. This helps keep the fire and the passion alive. Tip number 2: always clarify, never assume. You have to remember that we all change over time. Whether or not it's we change in our external looks, we also change internally in terms of our preferences and our thoughts. So maybe last week I like apples, but next week I like oranges. If you always assume that you know your partner's every move and every thought, just because you've spent some time or some years with somebody, then you're not giving room for growth. So always ask your partner, what's their preferences? What do they like? What excites them? Stop assuming and keep learning and keep growing with the relationship. Tip number 3: be slow to anger and fast to forgive. As we spend more time with our partners, sometimes our ego gets in the way, and perhaps it's very hard then for us to say sorry when we made a mistake, or even we forget to say thank you for the little things that they did for us. Bear in mind that these little things are the things that really count. If you made a mistake, apologize sincerely. But of course, don't just apologize for the sake of saying sorry. After you apologize, also take measures to make sure that the same mistakes don't get repeated in the future, and also analyze how can you do better for the future. Tip number 4: have a sweet moments record sheet. The way our brains work is so that we tend to absorb and remember negative moments more so than positive moments. And that is why it's so easy to get angry and frustrated whenever our partner wrongs us, but we tend to forget the good things that they've done for us. A tip that you can try to overcome this so that you can really remember all the beautiful things that your partner has done for you is to have a record sheet. Personally, I actually started this habit around 3 years ago, and it has really served me well. So whenever my partner has done something really sweet for me, whether or not it's just sending me a text and saying, hey, I love you very much, for this, or maybe he surprised me with a flower, or maybe he just stopped by my workplace to give me something, a gift, or any little small thing that he's done for me, I actually note this down in my record sheet. So when sometimes we have challenging moments and my emotions gets in the way and I think that, oh, everything's so bad, blah, 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 and the world's gonna end, I go to my record sheet and I remind myself that, hey, don't over exaggerate. This man has actually done many good things for me, and actually my emotions are just overreacting. So this is a tip I really highly recommend that you try. Tip number 5: proactive love versus passive love. Sometimes life happens and we just get into a routine and life gets boring. Just because you're married and you've been together for many years, don't just become lazy in your relationship. So how do you prevent that? Do something that you wouldn't do on a normal day. Maybe surprise your partner with a gift, or you could just suddenly send them a text message, or you could write him a letter of all the thoughtful things that you appreciate him for. Put in that effort to keep it fresh and live. From time to time, do something out of the ordinary. Take time to goof around, or maybe just to surprise your partner and maybe just tell them how much they mean to you. Or maybe you can plan a day where you can go to the spa together, or you can go and do something adventurous together. Do something that you wouldn't normally do. It doesn't have to be every single day, but every once in a while, it keeps that excitement going in your relationship. If your relationship really matters to you, then take the time to research or think about all the creative ways that or things that you could do together to keep the relationship exciting. Tip number 6, learn their love language. Now, what does this mean? There are basically 5 ways that people communicate the language of love. And what is that? Words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time, receiving gifts, or through physical touch. If you would like to learn your partner's preferred way of communicating the language of love, then I would strongly recommend that you take the Language of Love test. I'll place the link to that assessment in the description below. Once you understand your partner's preferred way of communicating the language of love, can you make them feel more fulfilled emotionally? So say, for example, if after taking the assessment, you realize that your partner prefers receiving gifts as the main language of love, then you know that through giving more gifts, your partner will feel more loved and appreciated. Tip number 7, go for short trips. Traveling doesn't only make you happy, it creates memories. You don't have to worry and think that you have to go for long haul trips or long periods, even if it's just to the next town or even to a nearby state. The point is to create memories. How often should you do this? The answer is as often as you can and as much as you like. Sometimes we get so complacent with where we live that we don't really go and explore in the nearby areas. What are the exciting activities that you could do? Maybe there's a nearby park that you've never visited, or maybe there's a nearby farm that you've never seen before, or maybe there's a nearby society where you could learn how to paint or how to learn a new skill. It doesn't really matter what it is, but do travel to create these memories together. Take lots of photos and take lots of videos so that you can look back on these at any point of time and you can laugh about it together and create more happiness and more joy and more fulfillment in your relationship. So I truly hope you will try out these tips and your relationship will be reignited and you'll continue to flourish. Now let's conclude today with a nugget of wisdom. Relationships are like flowers. Nurture them and they'll flourish. Neglect them and they'll wither. Now I'd like to hear from you. What are the steps that you have taken in order to keep the fire and the passion in your relationship going? I really like to learn from you. Do let me know in the comments below or over at my blog trishandco.com. Over at my website, do sign up for my Trish exclusive newsletter to receive powerful insights, updates, freebies, promos from myself that I don't share anywhere else. And don't forget, if you have any questions that you would like me to guide you on, do write to me over at my page, Ask Trish Anything, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you with some empowering steps. So, ladies and gentlemen, did you like this episode? If yes, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my uplifting channel. Your support really means the world to me. Also, I'll be truly grateful if you would share this with your friends. Live strong and have the courage to create a life you love because your happiness matters. Remember that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time on Thrive with Trish. What is the sweetest thing you've ever done for your partner? Once I actually created little notes and I hid it all around the house. I then revealed to my partner where he could find one little note every day for 30 days, just so that he knew how much I love him and how much I appreciate him. It really made him really happy.